Hello everybody, I'm LinguaPhiliax, and I Want to Learn Yuggera is a Facebook group that I made years ago where basically, well, pretty much I was obsessed with learning about Yuggera language because basically in school we weren't taught about Aboriginal cultures. Because I was interested in languages and I was living in a country, in a colonized country, that meant that English wasn't the native language of the land I was living on, so went to look that up, and then eventually I found out it was Yuggera, or like the related dialects. That's the name that's used on Horton's map. I don't know how accurate it is, or like colonialism hit this place really hard, so like trying to pick up the fragmentary pieces of everything is difficult. But basically, I made the Facebook group years ago to try and create a, I guess, central hub of knowledge that I had picked up personally, and then show it to people and hopefully make people more educated about it. And also I didn't know any Aboriginal people at the time, so building a better connection with like Yuggera people and other Aboriginal people. It was a very ADHD autistic thing to do, basically, because yeah, I was diagnosed with ADHD, so I definitely have that, but I also think I'm autistic, and my special interest is in language, which is why I'm so great at it, but that doesn't stop me from being, like, socially awkward and trying to talk to people about language, but I can't talk to people about language because, like, you can't just randomly go up to an Aboriginal person and say, "Hey, you're Aboriginal, tell me about your language." That's not, like, a thing you can, like, what kind of conversation opener is that? And also, that's, like, the first introduction you have to a person. Anyway, that was kind of the motivation behind creating this Facebook group. Oh, I am also going to be posting this video on my YouTube channel, so like if you're seeing this on YouTube, you might be confused why I'm talking about Facebook, but yeah. I guess check out the Facebook group. Yeah, but that was the idea behind why I created the Facebook group a while back. Unfortunately, one of the things I had expectations for, like, the group that I didn't realize were not realistic. So, like, one of the expectations I had was that people would automatically understand linguistic concepts like cases or syntax, or like how different languages have different word orders, or about like how metaphors work, or like what pragmatics is, or even like fundamentally the difference between phonology and writing. Like, because people who grew up being taught English in classes tend to teach English from a very written perspective, from a literature perspective, and that's just not how language works. Like, spoken languages are always spoken first and then written later. That's always how it goes. You can't get a spoken language from writing, because like those things just don't correlate, because there is actually no correlation between the meaning of words and how the words sound. The correlations are literally arbitrary and cultural, and we just made them up. That's a discussion for a future video, probably. But my point is, I went in expecting people to already be on board with all sorts of, like, fundamental concepts, or concepts that were fundamental to me, but they just were not caught up in the loop about, and so they were asking all sorts of dumb questions. You know, just basically they were asking all sorts of uneducated questions about how language is structured, and about how Yuggera language specifically is structured, that was like a massive, I guess, barrier that I had to like reconsider. Like almost immediately after the Facebook group got noticed by people, and then people started joining it. And the other thing is that I got a couple of teachers who were wanting to try and incorporate Yuggera into classrooms, and I'm like, from my perspective, I was like, why are you asking me? I'm not Yuggera. I'm a linguist. I'm interested in this language, but like I could possibly redirect you to other organizations who are connected to the language, but even then I'm still learning about those myself. I'm still like I'm a learner in this place. I'm an educated learner, but I'm still a student essentially. I do have like these fundamental skills, these fundamental linguistic skills, but I'm using those skills to find out more, to learn more about something I don't know yet. So basically, I guess this is my intro to this Facebook group. Again, I'm gonna make these ad-libbed videos, post them on YouTube, and then repost them on the Facebook group. And they will be subtitled in English as well. So if you need captions for whatever reason, just I'm gonna make sure to put them in. But basically, I'm gonna like keep posting videos every week, and I'm gonna make sure that they are brought out every week, going over different like fundamental linguistic concepts that I think are relevant to Yuggera language and Aboriginal Australian languages generally. Like I have to be a little general in a lot of places because there are lots of like details that are still fuzzy, both in my mind and in like the collective data, right? Because we're talking about language revival here. My ultimate goal is like language revival essentially, and to like I want to be able to have a conversation. Like if one of my bucket list goals is to be able to have a conversation in Yuggera language with somebody, like as a fluent-ish speaker. I say fluent-ish because I know that like the concept of fluency is bleh, but that's essentially a goal of mine. And even though I do have expertise, I want people to keep in mind that I am also still learning and I'm still discovering new things. And if you have to like teach me or tell me about something that should have been obvious to me, doesn't matter. Like don't feel bad about like telling me about something obvious, or because it might not be obvious to some people, and maybe it's not obvious to me either. But anyway, I'm gonna make videos going over the fundamental linguistic components that you have to think about for learning Aboriginal languages and for learning Yuggera language, and to keep in mind when looking at stuff written about Yuggera language. I'm going to talk about sources and different books and different people that I have personally met and different people who I would like to meet eventually related to this like personal goal of mine. And I'll try to be as informative as possible about things that I do know about, but keep in mind that sometimes you will ask a question and my answer to the question will be, I don't know. Just keep in mind that if you ask me a question, then it's very likely that a response to your question will be, I don't know, but I intend to find out. That's like going to be my standard go-to thing. If I actually don't know something, I will tell you that I don't know something yet. Alright? So that's basically my deal here. And that's what I created this group to do. And obviously if you're Aboriginal, or if specifically you're Yuggera, or any of the related mobs, like reach out, talk to me. I do know some people already. I'm kind of worried about naming names specifically at the moment because the internet is a public place and there can be all sorts of weird people and weird groups with bad intentions. So I'm going to like I will only mention names if I know the person is okay with me mentioning their name, or if they've already published a book and so essentially they already want people to know that, hey, I wrote this, you know. But yeah, that's basically my deal. That's basically what this Facebook group is going to be. Thank you all for listening, and we'll speak again next time.